Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the T.R.O.N podcast. I have a really special guest today that I'm really excited to get a chance to spend his time and my time with him. Chief Mark Corona of Slowjamastan. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
What's up, boss man? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for your time. So you have created something that a lot of people, I think, when they're kids, could only imagine of actually creating, right? Like, I want to create. I want to have fun. I want people to have fun with me. And I want to create things and make a lot of fun around it and just cultivate a very positive and welcoming environment.
Absolutely.
Tell me about your story, man. Tell me about your story.
Concocted Slowjamastan really out of silliness. My best friend and I, he actually plays the Sultan of Slowjamastan. And a little bit of history, yeah, him and I back and forth. Like we've been friends, dude, since we were like 18 years old. And we have done dumb things, stupid things, illegal things. So his dream, his goal was to travel the world, right? He wanted to travel all
Right.
193 countries. So he got to do that. So before his
Mhm.
last country, he calls me up one day and he's like, dude, I want to start my own country. And I remember the first time I heard that, I go, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So I sit there and I'm like,
Right.
dude, I'm in. Let's do it. You want to start your own country? I say we do it. So we started thinking about it. We just kind of started putting things together. And the more we thought about it, the more ridiculous it was getting. And to be honest, I didn't know where this was going at all. We just knew we were doing some country stuff. There's no roadmap for this. We're just kind of going for it. What really changed everything was when CNN broke the news. Once CNN broke the news and they put us on the worldwide map, that's when everything really started to change. And when people started coming to the website and the website was breaking down, we couldn't figure out why. And we realized the reason why this was happening, we really had to go into overdrive and figure out what the heck we're going to do. And then that's where everything
Right.
started coming through. We started putting the silly laws together. Like, we're known for the ban on Crocs. We do not allow Crocs in
I
Slowjamastan.
saw that.
My job as a Border Patrol agent is to make sure that no Crocs come into our country. And if I catch you wearing
Right.
Crocs, I will forcibly remove it and I will beat you over the head with it. And if you still don't get it, we also have the
Yeah.
Slowjamastan Crockade. All right, it's one of those where we put both arms inside the this big piece of wood and your head kind of goes in the middle. And I will forcibly
Right.
remove that dirty crock and slap you across the face. And if you still don't get it, we do have one third method, and that's the Slowjamastan re-education program. And it does have a
Oh my
100%
goodness.
success rate, my friend. The minute you walk out of there, three things are going to happen. One,
Right.
you'll never want to think about a crock. Two,
Right.
you'll never want to see a crock. And three, you're never going to want to say the word crock, my friend. So I always tell people, including yourself, you are welcome to come to Slowjamastan. Just don't wear any Crocs.
Okay, so from my understanding, this is Southern California that you're in, right?
That is correct.
Just so we're clear.
Yes, the Slowjamastan is 90 miles south of Palm Springs, California. So that would be in
Okay.
between actually El Centro, California, and Palm
Right.
Springs. Kind of, most people know the Salton Sea. Of course, we are trying to change that name to the Sultan Sea to kind of fit
Right.
the
Right. Right.
Sultan
Right.
of Slowjamastan.
Did you have any issues with local authorities, like as far as like I got to know about that because on paper this is such a great idea, but then you always have somebody behind a desk that's gonna be like, well, this is the bureaucracy behind it,
Sure,
right?
sure. We've had
How did this work itself out?
yeah, Caltrans is not a big fan of Slowjamastan, that's for sure. So they made us kind of remove our signs, but we were able to put them back, and we moved them back a few feet. Really,
Right.
the run-ins with law enforcement isn't even so much with the country itself. It's more the fact that we have a police car, a real police car, and then my truck,
I
I have
saw
a
that.
Border Patrol truck. This is what
I
happens.
know.
Oh, the Border Patrol truck, dude. It's been so much fun, man. But I also get at the beginning, I was getting in a lot of trouble. And I'll give you the
I
short
can only
version of
imagine.
one. In Riverside, California, police officer sees my truck. He pulls me over. We get to this taco shop, which is kind of ironic. It just happened to be the place that he stopped at. And luckily, they had
Right.
cameras, so everything was captured on video. They stopped me. They asked me about what I'm doing. Why am I imitating a Border Patrol officer? And I'm trying to tell the guy, I'm not imitating a Border Patrol officer. If you read it, it says Border Patrol. It doesn't say Border Patrol. Well, this guy was a jerk, right? He just kept going and going. So he takes me out of the car, puts me in handcuffs, throws me in the back of their police car, and they're about to take me to jail, right? His chief shows up. Chief comes over, sees my truck, goes to his officer, who goes, dude, I know these guys. They have a country in like Southern California. He goes, man, get him out of the vehicle right now. Come on, man. His chief came up and told me, get me out of the vehicle, dude. Well, here's what happened. I later
Wow.
found out the reason he stopped me Dude, it's just sometimes you're at the wrong place at the right time. The
Right.
reason he stopped me was because he was training a rookie officer. So he used
Oh yeah.
my
Okay. Okay.
situation as an
Yeah.
example
Right.
of
Right.
what happens when somebody's
Right.
imitating a law enforcement officer. That's the whole reason why I was pulled over
Right.
and the whole thing went down. But we have video on that. If you ever want to use it, let me know, and I'd be happy to send it to you.
I saw the picture still of it when I was doing my homework on you, and I thought that I just had to start laughing, right? Because I'm like, why isn't this guy on like Comedy Central, right? Like, because it's just the first thing I thought of, right? I'm like, what's the funny cop movies they've made? Oh
Bring
gosh,
911 or
yeah, like that, right.
you
That's
know
the
what's
first thing I thought of.
and it's funny you say that. What's incredible is that we have been told that so many times, and we did meet with one of the major agencies in LA. Nothing has really come to fruition, but we have had a lot of different people approach us about TV shows. We kind of start the talks, and then they kind of fall through. So we're not quite there yet.
Right.
I think we'll get there at some point, but yeah, right now we're not really.
Yeah, I just thought that and what's crazy, what I liked about what you created for people that we'll talk about where to make sure people can find you. I saw that people are they're virtual citizens. You got people from Bangladesh and global, that are reaching out to you. And I like the part where you said you were really sensitive of the fact that people may think that this is where they're trying to come from a worse situation. Like, no, ladies and gentlemen, this is for fun. This is, totally, a removal from everyday life. So I really like how you put that for people to let you know, like, don't move your family, so to speak, right?
You know, it's unfortunate because the ones that get it, they get it, right? They get that it's satire, they get the funniness out of it. I do feel bad for Bangladesh. I think that's where we got a lot. Like that's where the satire didn't really, uh, it didn't really connect. The satire didn't really
Right.
connect with the Bangladeshis. We get so
Yeah.
many emails and messages that they want to move here, get a passport, and we try to explain. This is not a real country, man. This is satire. You know, I'm
Absolutely.
sorry for your situation.
Right.
I totally get it, but it's not a country you can
Yeah.
actually move to. So we are very sensitive to
Right.
that simply because
I
that's
saw that.
honestly the only country that didn't really connect.
Got it.
Yeah,
And I certainly couldn't speak enough about their background to, make that as get into detail as to why that was.
sure.
But I thought that was really good that you put that on your website.
Yeah.
Now, so how did you said you guys were always creative? What made you segue into corporate events too? Because obviously Slowjamastan is fantastic, but there's more to you than that.
Correct.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was really good that you do corporate events, team building, and
Yeah.
things like that. And that was something that I saw as well too.
So the first thing I want to say before I even jump into that for your listeners and viewers that are checking out this podcast right now is I am speaking in an American accent right now. I actually have a
Right.
Slowjamastani real accent. You know, my friend, this is actually my real accent right here, my friend. This is the way I would actually talk in the land of Slowjamastan. This is exactly the way. So I'm working very hard on the American accent right now, my friend. So I apologize if I do not get the words correct or I do not understand the questioning. But let's get back to the American accent. So anyway, yeah, so corporate events and team building. So what happened was, as a result of Slowjamastan's, people started finding that it was a really good story to tell, and also a good connection with corporate
Right.
events. And there's kind of a twofold here. So people said, you really should be talking to corporations who are trying to either do customer retention, employee retention, goal setting,
Right.
kind of topics, because you can take the
Right.
Slowjamastan story and apply it to their company and whether
Right.
it's the CEOs or their employees or whatever can really benefit from speeches coming from you. So I
Yeah.
said, man, that's a great idea. So I kind of jumped into the world of speaking and I've been doing speaking engagements now for a few months, just going out and
Yeah.
talking about the Slowjamistan story, but then connecting it to your business, how this can what
Right.
we did, how this can benefit you as well. And the other
Right.
side of that, we started another partner of mine. We started the world's only TV style trivia game show. In other words, it's like a game show on TV, but it's for bars, restaurants, and corporate clients. And we're the only ones in
Yeah.
the world doing this.
Right.
So I'm the host of that show, and
That's crazy.
it's on TV monitors when say you walk into a bar. Sounds like a joke. You walk into a
Yeah.
bar. So you walk into a bar and
Yeah.
it's a sports bar, right? You've got like 20 TVs out there, and it's trivia night. You're gonna see me on all 20 TVs up there. I'm gonna start the show, energize music. You're gonna get the app, and you're gonna see me on the show. You're gonna start answering
That's
questions,
awesome,
win
man.
things at the end. It's very high energy
That's
and a lot of fun.
yeah.
So we do some of that work for corporate clients as well, and that's more for
Yeah.
engagement, for employee engagement, customer engagement.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I think, speeches and getting behind a microphone, you mentioned that, in your About You section, people tend to doze off. They start text messaging their wife, like what's for dinner, groceries, etc. When the kid's going to, when am I picking the kid up for, what's their event tonight, right? It gets kind of like, okay, well, get to, they're already planning the time, with the time you're stopping before you've even started.
Yeah,
But when you make people laugh and you make people get involved and you do trivia, I mean, that immediately
yeah,
it gets their heart pumping a little bit,
yeah,
and you see a different fun side to people.
yeah.
Like when doing this show, I try to match the tone of who's on the show. So I've had people who have had serious life altering events. I'm not going to be laughing a lot, right? It's not going to be laughing a lot, right? But this was like, yo, man, like this is crazy. This is so much fun.
Well, you have a lot of energy yourself, so I really liked it a lot.
I appreciate it. I appreciate what's like the first kind of what do you have any specific corporate clients, or is it just anybody who wants to be, are they having a decline in something? Are they seeing something that's not positive?
So a couple of ways that it works, and we'll talk about the trivia side of things first. The couple of things that the ways that it works is you have some corporate clients who are literally just looking for entertainment, right? They just want to have
Right,
this trivia game show for whatever reason they want to have it for, which is fine, and that's
right,
more of like what I consider more of my general side of corporate clients. But then you have other corporate
right,
clients who are literally looking for a solution to either their customer retention or their employee
right,
retention or some kind of engagement. And what I love about what we
right,
do with our version of trivia is that you kind of nailed it a little bit here earlier, is it brings people together that normally would not work together. Say that you work in different departments, right? Maybe you see each other in the
absolutely.
hallway. You're like, "Hey, what's up, John? Hey,
Correct.
what's up, Rick?" And that's about as far as
Yeah,
engagement goes. When you do trivia and
correct.
you bring these people into a different atmosphere, high energy, fun, music, and now they're getting to
Right,
know each other, right? Now it's like Rick and John are now actually getting to know each other because now they're having to work together, figure out the answers
right,
to these questions together, and now they're building a
right,
relationship they otherwise would not have built. So that's where my corporate clients
right,
really get the benefit is when it comes to employee engagement
right.
and when it comes to retention.
And I think you hit the nail on the head because I mean, now that we live in this digital era of you can just, either WhatsApp somebody, text message somebody, email somebody, etc. There's a void of actual like human contact because then somebody just becomes just their username or
Yeah,
their email address, right? And then I mean, it's so I think by getting people to interact, and then you'll find out there's some commonalities that in those trivia games, like, hey man, how did that guy know that? How did that woman know that?
exactly.
Right? You
Exactly.
didn't know that they knew what they knew.
Exactly.
Right?
That's
Right?
that's the beauty of it. You start finding out the things that people know. You're like, really? You knew that? It just creates even more conversation as a result. That's the
Right?
camaraderie that these events that we do create for these companies. That's why the companies benefit from it, right? That's why I figure
Right?
I kind of market more on the retention side of things. Entertainment is great. It
Right?
always is. Entertainment obviously is very
Of
valuable.
course.
But when you need a solution, that's when we come
Right?
in with a solution, right? But Slowjamastan is kind of the same thing. You go back to Slowjamastan, right? And you're giving speeches based on what we've done with the country. I mean, look, dude, we went to NATO. Listen, we went to NATO.
I know. I saw.
Think about that.
Like I'm not. Like, I hate to cut you off, but I saw that bolded. I'm like, nah, man. That maybe that's part of the parody,
No,
right? So I'm like, he saw right. I see Fox, I see CNN, I saw Yahoo. I'm like, why would he put NATO there if that was like part of a? I'm like, no, he really did do that.
yeah.
Like that is
People think, did you really go to NATO? I'm like, no, no, no. Honestly, I know we do a lot of funny things and we're satire. We really
yeah.
did go to NATO. And dude, I got to be honest, the clearance to get in there is ridiculous. It took us a year
Oh
all the
my
way.
gosh,
It took the
I
full
can only.
year.
Are you serious?
Oh, dude, we finally get approved almost at the last minute. We didn't know if we were going to still, get on that plane and go. We're like, is this going to happen? And we
Wow.
finally get approved. We're like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, we're going. And it just happened to
Right.
be that situation where, you meet people, and we're talking about Slowjamastan. They knew about Slowjamastan. They thought it was hilarious, and they gave me a few minutes to go up on the stage and talk about it. So that's kind of where I started the whole speaking thing was really at NATO. Dude, think about it. How many
Right.
speakers or how many people can say they were part of NATO?
I literally was about to stop you in your tracks. I'm like, people can say they spoke at a university, a community college, a church, a synagogue, a mosque, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't happen.
Exactly.
That you don't just all of a sudden just shoot an email and they're like, "Hey, see you in a month. Thanks for talking to our president of our university." Just, you know what I'm saying? Like this.
Exactly.
And I think one of the keys too, by you being up there, I mean, I'll have to actually watch your speech because I was reading about it. is I think it gives citizens of a country showing that the leaders can laugh at themselves a little bit,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right.
I think it was
I
one of
think
those.
that
Oh,
probably
sorry.
was a very important thing.
It was because if you think
No,
about it,
I apologize.
no, you're fine. If you think about it, NATO's a serious, it's a serious thing. They're talking about important, world events. They're talking about, climate change. They're talking about military tactics, AI. Just really important things. All the people giving speeches up there.
Right, right.
They're talking about, you've got ambassadors, you've got dignitaries, you have generals who are giving out
100%.
speeches, and then I walk up and I'm talking about string cheese and no crocs allowed and no speeding in Slowjamastan. But here's the thing: it's exactly what was needed at the moment. It's
Right, right,
that funny element that was needed in a
right.
sea of seriousness. You know what I mean? So it was just the
Absolutely.
perfect moment,
Right.
man. It was just a perfect moment.
So I gotta ask you, when people, I saw you have your own kind of border patrol team, and I saw that there's a process that not too deep of a process. People be members of the community, et cetera, like that. Do you guys have like tours that people can go on, like with visitors who just want to do like day pass? How does that work when it comes to like visiting the town and the infrastructure of it all?
Well, we don't have real walls, in Slowjamastan.
Right.
They're symbolism. It's really symbolism more than anything else. We do have a guard shack, there. We do have the arm for the
Yeah.
guard shack. Of course, you can always go around it. We don't advise it because we do have our landmines. They're, activated. So we say, listen, let me know you're going there so I can deactivate the landmines. I don't want anybody getting hurt with confetti and Mexican candy because that's what will explode if we step on one of our landmines. Suddenly, Mexican candy everywhere, dude. Confetti all over the place, and it's a big mess. So we want to make sure that you call us first so we can deactivate the landmines. We
Goodness.
do require a passport though, like just like any country, right? You have to have a
I saw
passport.
people getting stuff stamped and everything, man.
I stamp your passport. The best time, honestly, the best time to go to Slowjamastan is when we have our events, and we have several a year. The most famous one right now is the No Croctober. Obviously, once a year in October, No Croctober. We become big time croc blockers, so we invite people to come out and join us. So, it's the best time to come out to Slowjamastan. Now, Shad, if you want to go out there anytime, feel free to go, man. Let me know you're coming down. We do have cameras out there so we can see who's coming in and out. But people do come from all over the world to check out Slowjamastan just to kind of get the experience, to walk on the land, get pictures, that sort of thing. But it's always best
Right.
if you come during our events because that's when a lot of people show up and it's just a lot more fun. We bring out the fire truck. We bring out the border patrol
Right.
truck,
Right.
the police car, and everybody gets
Right.
involved. And dude, listen, at the end of the day, it's unity. It's what it is, man.
You're right.
It's inclusivity. Everyone is
Yeah.
welcome. There's no political stance. We are a dictatorship. So what we say goes, and that's at the end of the day, sometimes we might let you get in the vote or two, but the Sultan, rules with an iron fist.
And what's crazy is like the popularity of something like that because people they get very, very caught in their day-to-day activities, right? So everything becomes structured, everything becomes routine, and people tend to follow patterns, etc. And the one benefit that I saw to that was just like you got to throw all that out the window,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right. And it was crazy because it's almost like when one of my kids, I have three daughters, build like a fort inside of my house, right? Right. And you just built a fort inside of like your state, right? And it's like the same.
Look at that. I love
Right.
that.
Like I got a 5-year-old daughter, right? And she'll say this is the door to go into. It's nothing but blankets and chairs. Everybody who's
Right.
had kids knows that, right? You were every all kids who had to find their entertainment, but it's like, yo, he just took the
Two
little
weeks
kid
ago,
version
man.
of that. So
That's
ain't nothing wrong with that, man. And so and the fact that you got people flying in, it's such a separation from their normal activities.
correct.
Yeah, I'm sure you've got input from a lot of other people that you've probably added you probably added or didn't think of yourself.
There's always things, yeah, there's always things that people, will bring up. Hey, have you thought about doing this? And we'll think about it, be like, oh my gosh, it's actually not a bad idea. So I'll give you
Right.
an example. Like one thing that it was from one of the Slowjamastanis, and it was such an easy suggestion that I almost feel dumb. I didn't really think about it. You know, the suggestion was, you don't get to see a lot of these people because they're from all over the world. Have you ever thought about communicating with them on a
Right.
regular basis? Maybe starting a Facebook page or something like that. And that's when I came up with an
Right.
idea. I'm like, that's great. And I came up with this thing called PVM, positive video messages. What I do is honestly, Rashad, it's just about connecting with this Slowjamastanis. I'm not selling anything. I'm not promoting or marketing
Right.
anything. I will literally just
Right. Right.
get on my phone, send a video, and simply say, hey, thank you so much for, being a part of our country. I hope you're having a great day today. If I can make you
Right.
smile today, man, that was my goal. And dude, that's it. It's about 30 seconds and we're done.
For sure. For sure.
That has created such an impact because, dude, sometimes I get goosebumps, saying this because it's happened more than once. But, dude, I've hit people when they were feeling so down and they got my
Yeah.
my video message. Dude, I get
Yeah.
responses to go, oh my God, I was crying today because of X amount of things that happened or whatever. Your
Right.
video really made my day. I get so many of
Right.
those back, and I knew that's how I knew the
Right.
key. That was the ingredient. I'm like, you got to stay connected with the people like that. You got to stay connected.
Yeah.
Positive video
You
messages
know,
matter.
and it's right. And, I think that one of the reasons that you were so successful at this was because people could connect to you and they could relate to that out of box moment that they've wanted to have because it's a level of happiness that they didn't have in their own personal lives.
Mhm.
And that's amazing when you think about it because technology, even though people, you can say you have 112, 1,200 Facebook friends, et cetera, 2,000, whatever. How many of those people are your actual friends?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
How many of those people can you actually have a conversation with and not just say, cool picture?
That's right.
Just keep it real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it goes a little bit deeper. I have to ask, what's with the Crocs and string cheese? Like those two specifically. What was that? Like, how did that happen?
So before we ever started the country, my best friend and I, the Sultan, Randy Williams, we were not a fan of Crocs, dude. This is way before we even thought about the country, man. I remember one
Right,
day
right, right.
we were together and we saw the shoes, and either he made the comment or I made the comment, and it was somewhere along the lines of like, "My God, those are terrible shoes." Whether it was him or I, immediately we both agreed. We're like, "Dude, yes, those are terrible shoes. Like, why would people wear
Okay.
those? Why are people buying those?" That's kind of where that started. So when we started the country and we were making up our laws, we thought, dude, you and I hate Crocs. Why don't we make Crocs a thing? We'll ban Crocs in Slowjamastan. Again, dude, just trying to be funny. We had no idea the impact that
Yeah.
was going to make. The Croc
Right.
is really what's made all the impact. That's really what we're known for. The other laws are funny, dude. But if you have somebody
Right.
recite
The
our
Crocs.
laws, the first thing they're going to say is no Crocs allowed. It's the first thing. It just resonated with people. So we're like, you know,
Right.
we got something here. Let's roll with it. And we ran with it. We ran with that. The string cheese, let's be honest, man. How do you eat
Mhm.
string cheese?
My daughters eat them. I don't really eat them. So, I mean, I'd like to think they like peel it, man. They like really want to enjoy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be like, yo, I've had just like maybe one or two, but I don't recall peeling it.
My friend, listen, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that, but, you peel it gently, lovingly, my friend. You don't chomp it like a barbarian, all right? We live in a civilized society. You got to peel it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why it's
yeah.
called string cheese, not chomp on my cheese, So you really got to,
Right. That's
you got to
true.
peel it lovingly, man. But it's one of those things where we put people to the test. We went to a thing called
Right.
MicroCon, and it's other countries, but they're not like ours.
Yep.
They're more like
Yep.
online countries and things like that. And we put people to the test. Take out the string cheese. We didn't tell them what we were doing. Go ahead and eat the string
Right.
cheese, and we wanted to see how many people peeled it, how many people bit it. I'm actually surprised
Right.
that more people peeled it, but we did have some biters. We're like, okay, we're gonna have to put these people in the re-education program.
Right. 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 Time for the indoctrination. Right. 1984. Right.
Absolutely. Also, I don't know if you know that we also don't allow speeding in Slowjamastan. Now, I know most countries don't allow speeding, but we don't allow speeding unless you got tacos in the car. Because man, let's be honest, dude. What's fun about soggy tacos?
That's true. That's true. Now I do love a good taco. I'm not gonna lie.
The only time you can
So,
speed.
you know, there's so many questions that I could ask. Like, how did people like CNN and Fox and Yahoo, did they reach out to you when they were like, yo, man, like, what is this? How did you make this? Like, who reached out to you?
It
Or
really
did you or
started
to
with
them?
there was a couple of writers on it, but it was really the CNN piece that kind of changed everything. They reached out to us. They came out to us and
Okay.
they wanted to do these interviews and find out more about the country. I don't even know, to be honest with you, and I'd have to ask the Sultan this. I don't even know how they found out about us because I can tell you at the very beginning when we first started, we put out. You know how those big signs you see on the freeway, those big green signs you see on the freeway? Okay.
Right.
We put
Right.
two of those signs out on this desolate road in the middle of the desert. Okay. There's really hardly
Right.
anything going, through there unless it's like a season where there's a bunch of what is it, the off-roaders and people like that.
Right.
So we have these two
Right.
big
Right.
signs, and that's the only thing that we had out there. So all of a sudden, people are talking about Slowjamastan. And we had the website on there. And I think that's how everything started. I think the word spread so fast that people started
Right.
hearing about it because law enforcement was coming over. They were trying to figure out what is going on over here. Dude, it
I
all
mean,
started,
yeah. I mean, what choice do they have?
dude, it started making noise on its own. We didn't have to say a
Can, can,
word.
Yeah, because here's the thing, and I say this very respectfully. They have to make sure it's not like a Jim Jones or David Koresh kind of situation, like, where a billboard's telling people to come here. I'm not judging, but I'm saying, hey, man, let's validate this. Are we going to find a bunch of, X, Y, and Z taking place here that we have to shut down? But then when they find out, okay, this is cool, right? So,
Well, listen, we do invite people to come out and drink the Kool-Aid. That's for sure. Yeah. Of course, our Kool-Aid is actually real Kool-Aid, though. There's nothing in it other than the flavor.
you're
But we
killing me,
tell people,
man.
man, come on
You're
by,
killing.
drink the Kool-Aid.
Right. So I gotta ask: has there been spread to other towns, cities of similar? Like, do you plan on bringing the Slowjamastan to other states? Because I think this could be beneficial, man.
I haven't. I'll be honest. We've been asked. I haven't considered it. We've been asked. We've kind of tossed the idea back and forth of having like ambassadors that maybe represent
Yeah,
Slowjamastan, in
yeah,
those states. We do have some of that right now, but it's not really in depth. But we've been asked several
right,
times, hey, can I represent Slowjamastan in my town? And I think that might even go through our membership program where you can, represent. We do have people that do their own consulate though. We have a guy now
right.
who's really, really into Slowjamastan. He's in Oregon and he's got the consulate, in Oregon. He does all of his own
Oh
marketing,
my God.
all of his own stuff. He does a
Yeah,
really good job with it. We have a few people that do that, but it's not something we go, hey, if you want to do this, I feel like
yeah,
I'd rather attract things than to chase them.
right,
When you chase them, it's a lot harder. I'd rather attract those things and go, listen, if this is
right.
something you want to do and you approached
Yeah,
us, it probably means you're going to do a better job than if we were to approach you and
exactly.
ask you to
Yeah.
do it. You know what I mean?
Instead of visiting, 49 other states and
Exactly.
trying to. So, the thing that I think, and I say this very, very respectfully for anybody who's watching, as well as people who do podcasts and do things what you do. It seems that it's like in like the last 20 years, it's kind of been like the nerds have been the cool people right now. Like, if you like to do stuff like this when you were growing up, like the people that played sports, and I played sports,
Yeah. Yeah.
there was always like that sneering attitude towards like the geek stuff. And now, like, as technology has come and a lot of this stuff is making a lot of money, all of a sudden people are like, yo, man, this geek stuff is dope. You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird. Like,
Dude, if I had, I played sports as well, and if I had started this back when I was in high school, I probably would have gotten my butt kicked and been
oh,
like, "You're an idiot."
oh,
Yo, dude, I don't think
easily,
this would have never
easily,
worked. Never worked. People would have been like,
easily.
"You
That's what I'm
suck."
saying, right? No, 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 no. I mean, not happening. Not,
Yeah,
you can't be, if you're 16, 17 years old, football, hockey, track, basketball, baseball, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go create this fictitious country in
exactly.
my backyard.
Dude, you get smacked around and be like, "You're dumb" and whatever. Even today, we have some not A-list
Haters.
celebrities. You're always gonna have haters, which is funny because they're the ones that don't get it, which makes it even funnier because they actually don't get it. So, but you even have minor
Yeah.
celebrities, who know about the country, who think it's a, who love it. It's a great idea. They've reached out to us just to say, hey, this is fun. This is a great idea. They don't put their image or anything. We're trying to get them to a
For
social
sure, for
floor.
sure.
We have a couple that are actually
Yeah,
citizens, and they do have their pictures, on there. Yeah. Outside of that, it's a fun thing that we
it
do.
really
And
is.
it's really for positivity, man, more than anything else. It's all we promote. All the divisiveness in the world, man, this brings people together, you
Yeah.
know?
I'm telling you, when I saw your profile, I literally was like, is he real chief? Like, I'm like, it caught me. Like, I said, what chief is he from? I'm like, yo, this is. I'm like scrolling. I'm like, oh, now I get it, right? You know what I mean? Like, it took me like 30 seconds to kind of absorb.
Exactly.
He's doing a really good satire moment, and it totally caught me off guard.
Well, tell people
And
I never
what
would
I
have talked
like,
about
no, 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 absolutely not, never. And that's what attracted the T.R.O.N podcast. And I know your time is valuable. You got a lot of things that you're doing, but I would never have got a chance to talk to you and what you were doing without us having something in common that we both wanted to share,
Sure.
right?
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
think that's so valuable. So you have your corporate clients, you have your own country, you have. I saw some of your videos at the Capitol steps talking to people.
Oh, it was great, dude. It was so much
Dude,
fun.
that was so funny. You had the flamethrower and
Oh, yeah.
Slowjamastan. Oh my God.
First,
Oh,
that first event, we had under 10,000 people show up, man. It was awesome.
that's fantastic. Well,
Super
I
motivated.
probably badgered you enough, man. I don't think I've laughed this much in quite some time. Did you have any questions for me before
I
I
want to
give you
thank.
back your time?
I just want to thank you. Personality, man. You got a lot of energy. So I really enjoyed doing this interview with you, man. It's awesome. And by all means, I can't wait to put this on my site.
I can't wait for it either, man. It's been a pleasure, brother. So you take care and
Thank you, my friend.
make sure everybody keeps drinking the Kool-Aid, okay?
Absolutely. Always come to Kool-Aid.
Thanks, brother.